definitely came in like a lion here on the homestead. We've had some wild weather with heavy rain and even hail. But in true spring fashion, it's also brought a few warmer days that are waking everything up. Our plum and peach trees are in full, beautiful blooms, and the tulips and daffodils are putting on a show too. On those warmer days, we've been soaking up the sunshine and getting to work. And today, we're kicking off our cold weather garden. That means it's time for hardy seeds like cabbage, lettuce, carrots, and peas to get put into the ground. Come along with me and let's dig into spring. We are kicking off our cold weather garden with something new. We got this A-frame trellis last fall. It's super lightweight and simple, and we thought it might be the perfect fit for growing our spring peas. Last year, we grew our peas up in our growing buckets by the house, and they just didn't get enough sun. So we're hoping this new spot and this trellis will help with that. For the trellis, you just have to assemble the legs and then connect everything using these side brackets and some metal clips. It came together really easily, and it comes with a bit of netting to help the peas latch on and to climb their way up. I found that it isn't quite enough for the whole trellis, so we kind of had to jimmy rig it a little bit. But since it's our first time using it, we're just hoping for the best and we'll see how it goes. If it works out, maybe next year we'll try some new things. This year, we actually moved our cold weather garden to a different spot, to what used to be our cut flower garden. We are hoping that by rotating the crops, we'll not only give the soil a nutrient boost, but also it's an expanded space to allow for a few more of our cold weather vegetables. One of our biggest goals this season is to grow more onions and carrots. Last year, we made it with our homegrown onions until about December and our carrots all the way to about mid-February. That felt like a win, and we'd love to do that again and have an even longer amount of time that we don't have to rely on going to the grocery store. We set our garden up for flood irrigation, which is why we dig up and shape our rows into these mounds. It makes it easy to organize where everything goes, and it also helps water flow really neatly down each row. We always start by rototilling the ground in early spring. Usually over the winter, we'll amend the soil with compost and other organic matter and let it break down naturally over the course of the winter. So by the time that we do come in until all of that goodness gets mixed in and our garden soil is much richer. After that, we rake through the beds and remove any big twigs or leaves, and then use the hoe to map out where we want each of our crops to go. This year's plan is 2 rows of peas, 2 rows of various types of lettuce, 4 rows of onions, 5 rows of carrots, and then we have a bonus row of sunflowers, just because I love sunflowers and I'm always looking for new varieties to plant. Some of the seeds like onions, lettuce, and carrots are super tiny, and I usually will just use my finger to make kind of a shallow trench in the middle of the row and sprinkle the seeds in, and then I'll lightly cover them with soil. You don't want too much soil on top of these smaller seeds or they won't germinate. But once they start to germinate, I'll come back and then I will thin them out. It's just a part of the process. So sometimes I feel like I get way too many seeds into these trenches, like these carrots here. But I always have to come in and thin them anyway, so I don't feel too bad. For bigger seeds like the peas and cabbage, I will space them out a bit more since they need a little more room to grow. But even then, I might still come in and thin them later, but oftentimes you can transplant them if your plants are hardy enough. When it comes to planting onions, I will actually do a variety of onions. I may start with onion starts, like here. I may start with onion seed, which I have a row of as well, or I might get onion sets. Each of these is just at a varying stage of growth, and so we have different times throughout the year that we might start those onions, just so that we can have more onions in our garden and not take up as much space. When everything is planted, it's time to water, and I always start by misting the tops of the mounds with my spray nozzle. This helps keep the soil in place and kind of presses the seeds in without washing them away. Once that's done, I'll go ahead and flood irrigate the rows, just keeping a close eye to make sure nothing gets too wild and those tiny seeds don't get washed out and float away. Cold weather gardening is always a bit of a gamble, but it's such a rewarding start to the season, especially when you're just ready for things to grow. There's something about planting those first seeds that really makes it feel like spring. And of course, a week later, I always go out and start checking to see if there's any new growth in the garden. We've got cabbage coming up, some of the peas, and even some of the onions. But now that the outdoor planning is done for the week, let's head inside and check out our indoor plant starts and how fast they're growing. In the last video, you saw us plant our indoor garden starts, and they are growing like crazy. We've got tomatoes, peppers, squash, and even some early cut flowers. And honestly, they're kind of taking over our house right now. Every window, sill, and table is packed. So to help wrangle the chaos, we actually picked up a rolling cart. Not only will this keep everything organized, but it'll make it super easy to start transitioning the plants outside during the day as we begin hardening them off. But before we move them to the cart, we're repotting and reorganizing by type and variety. This helps us to keep track of what's thriving and what might need a little extra love. A lot of these starts will go into our spring farm stand for our local customers. We love being able to share fresh homegrown plants in our community. And then the rest, they'll be staying right here for our own vegetable garden. Whether we're starting seeds indoors or out in the garden, there's something really rewarding about watching things grow from the very beginning. We love being part of that cycle here on the homestead and sharing it with all of you. Thanks for following along. Let us know if you have any questions or comments, and we'll see you in the next video.